Again, good morning. It's really a pleasure to welcome you to this event, which we are sharing with Kenyan Wall Street, who've been great partners, and to also share about what TRIFIC, Two Rivers International Finance and Innovation Center, SEZ, a Special Economic Zone, has to offer. It's a designated area within a country that offers special economic regulations and incentives to attract foreign investments and promote economic development. And indeed, tech firms and other firms may benefit from being domiciled in an SEZ due to tax breaks, reduced regulations, and infrastructure support. I'm not going to give you those details, the panelists will, and there'll be a Q&A after, so you can go into that.
I'm really excited for this session and very excited to dive into special economic zones and see how everyone in this room can make the most out of them. My name is Caleb. I'm the CEO of a company called TechSafari, a media company covering what's happening across African tech and trying to build value for startups across the continent. And so it's very exciting for us to be here today. I'm going to announce a few of the people who will be jumping on this panel with me, who will be talking to about Two Rivers and the special economic zone. Really excited to dive in, and I think I'd love to start with you, Dr. James Mworia. Do you have a microphone?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Fantastic. So, as you're in your position as Group CEO of Centum, you're one of the biggest real estate and business investors in Kenya. And so I'm really curious to understand, what was the intention or the rationale behind starting TRIFIC? We had a bit of a discussion about it earlier. I'm curious to know how you started TRIFIC and the intention there, and then where you want to take it.
No, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Maybe let me start by introducing Centum, because some of you may not know who Centum is. Centum is a listed investment company. We've been in Kenya since 1967. So this year will be 57 years old. We are invested across a range of sectors, from power, agriculture, real estate, financial services, etc. And our role is always to solve large problems where we see opportunity. And also to bring the benefit of our networks and experience, having successfully done business in this region for a long time. Now, to your question, what does it provide? So, in terms of the incentives, and this is why they are relevant, the incentives that relate to capital and the incentives that relate to your own business. So if I pick the ones that relate to capital, you are an entrepreneur and you've raised money, or you're raising money from overseas. If that money comes to you here as a debt, meaning you need to pay interest, or comes to you as pref shares, meaning there's a coupon embedded in that capital. If you're not in a special economic zone, then there's a withholding tax of 15% that is added to that interest. It effectively means that your cost of capital is 15% higher if you are outside a special economic zone. If you are within the zone, then there's no withholding tax on capital. And these were amendments that were made subsequent to our licensing in the Finance Act 2023 to enable Kenya to be a financial hub.
I'd love to switch over to the other side of this and go to Winnie, who is partner at Dalberg. We actually skipped intros because I haven't had my coffee yet. So, Winnie, I'd love you to introduce yourself, introduce a bit about what you do, and then tell us a little bit about why Dalberg Implement has moved or has registered to be a part of the Two Rivers Special Economic Zone.
Yeah, thank you. And good morning, everyone. My name is Winnie Wambugu. I'm a partner at Dalberg Implement. Dalberg is a global consulting firm with things like strategy, human-centered design, research, data. I co-lead the implementation side of the business, which takes strategy recommendations and brings them to life. So I execute strategy. So to answer your question, and I feel like Dr. Mworia answered most of the why, But number one is because of the friendly business regulations and incentives. As a business owner, anytime you hear stuff like reduced tax, or better yet, tax-free, that's very attractive. So corporate tax, as James mentioned, has moved from 30% to 10%. You know, he's mentioned the VAT and so forth. And then there's some outright exemptions, so no stamp duty, no excise duty. So what this means, all combined, is that it makes us more competitive. When you're more competitive, you create more jobs, you're in more places, and we do a lot of work across the region and globally. But secondly, there are certain advantages to being in the SEZ. So one of them is 20% of your staff gets work permits and visas. Again, that goes without you doing anything about it.
Fantastic, thank you, Winnie. So Andrew, we'd love to hear a bit about, obviously, your introduction and your background. And then I want to hear about how you're thinking about Two Rivers, as you told me you're considering it. And then also what you think the future of special economic zones looks like, and where you see this going.
So my name is Andrew Barden. I am the lead organizer and content director for the Africa Fintech Summit. We're the largest financial technology conference in Africa. Additionally, I'm also the CEO of the Kenyan Wall Street. You know, in terms of TRIFIC and special economic zones, I think what's going on right now is super special. You know, we're seeing something quite unique go on. Parliament right now has the SEZ amendment bill that's in place that may be coming forward, and a bunch of other stuff. But you know, with some of these changes, and for tech companies and specifically, you know, with some of these things that are coming forward, they really do raise the competitiveness of startups. And right now, as funding is slowing down, as VC funding is getting harder to come by, every dollar matters, every shilling matters. And that's one of the things that TRIFIC helps founders, investors, everyone else operate there. So I think that's really special. Also, I think in the coming years, by maybe 2030 or so, we will see all the current SEZs in Kenya full. They'll be full, everyone will want to move there simply because of the incentives that are taking place and that are available. There are a few other things that are really special, especially for firms coming in from abroad. One of which, and I'll give a shout out to Declan for this, we were talking about it this morning, but TRIFIC kind of operates in a way towards a stamp of approval on a company, saying, hey, this is a legit company, it's a good company to work with. In the US, you see things like the Better Business Bureau and others that fill this void. And so I think it'd be really important also for young companies, startups, you put that TRIFIC stamp on your pitch deck, on your company next to your logo, say, hey, we're legit, we're official, because in reality, there have been investors, companies and such who have suffered from, you know, doing business that didn't turn out to be proper. So I think that's a really important thing to add to this. Now you mentioned that we are considering moving to TRIFIC. As the Kenyan Wall Street, we are considering it. We haven't decided. I'd like to call Dr. Mworia my neighbor, and Winnie as well. But you know, there's some of the incentives that are in place are absolutely spectacular, especially in terms of, from the media company perspective, the VAT. You know, VAT takes a lot of power and oftentimes, you know, can destroy any profit margin that could exist. So I guess from my perspective, being in tech, being in media, I would really encourage founders, you know, maybe you don't end up moving to TRIFIC, but it's definitely worth looking into. You know, they say the cunning founder, the cunning CEO is always looking for, you know, new ways to save money and to do things better, more efficiently, and so that's how I would encourage you to do that today.